Oh, you're so sweet, I swear. Te mando un besito.
All right, we are live. We are live. Disco Acid Cult TV. It's Monday, first day of the week. It is a hot Monday here in California. And I guess aside from the fact that it's July, it's no surprise that it's hot because today our first topic of discussion is Sydney Sweeney. What's up, Protomax? I'm driving. No worries about chat if you're driving. I don't want you to T-bone a family of 4 just because you're trying to chat on the live stream today. But yeah, of course I have to talk about Sydney Sweeney. You know, the story has been going on for pretty much like the whole weekend. I probably should have gotten on yesterday and talked about it, but here we are today. Here to talk about it now. You know, when stories like this pop up, one of the first things I think about is, you know, we hear a lot about this kind of mental health crisis that we're in America, right? Like the record numbers of teenagers and young adults who are depressed and suffering from anxiety. You know, they're all on Zoloft, they're all seeing therapists, and it doesn't seem to be helping. And I can't help but think, no wonder all of these teenagers and young adults are so depressed because they're going online and being told that American Eagle is producing Nazi propaganda. You know, if I believed stuff that I read on the internet, I would also be depressed. If I believed that teeny bopper clothing brands were doing Nazi propaganda, I would also be anxious and paranoid. And I would also be on Zoloft. And I would also be calling my therapist every day, having a mental breakdown. Luckily, you know, I don't believe this nonsense. I don't believe this bullshit. I think it's ridiculous. But yeah, I can't help but think, you know, of course the country is fucking depressed. Of course. Who wouldn't be depressed? If you legitimately believe that American Eagle and Sydney Sweeney are like scheming to produce Nazi propaganda and do the bidding of Adolf Hitler, then yeah, of course you're depressed. You know, of course you're anxious all the time. Makes total sense to me. I couldn't see it any other way. Sydney Sweeney did this ad campaign. She did a couple of videos for American Eagle. And you know, people are saying that it's racist. People are saying that it's Nazi. The first tweet I saw was some girl saying the new Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ad is so Hitler. And of course I had to dive in. I was like, what is this all about? You know? And so I went and I looked at these ads. And I have to say, they're great ads. They're awesome ads, first of all. These new Sydney Sweeney American Eagle commercials that I'm going to pull up here in a minute is like peak American culture. You know, I've talked about it before, how American culture was built on hot, chesty blonde girls and cool cars. I mean, it's literally everything you could want in a commercial. The fact that we live in a world that is crying about things like this is devastating to me. You know, my favorite of the videos, I'll pull that one up real quick. Let me let me get myself here in the bottom corner of the screen.
Sydney Sweeney has very canes.
I mean, it's literally Sydney Sweeney getting into a fucking Mustang with a camera shot of her ass. What more do you want? This is why people come to America. This is why you have people rushing here from other countries. This is what you think of when you think of America. When you think of the United States of America, when you think of the red, white, and blue, you think of Sydney Sweeney wiping her hands off on her ass, getting into a Ford Mustang. I don't know what else you want from from anything. It doesn't get any better than this as far as I'm concerned. It's crazy that this is what people are up in arms about today. You know, this is the world that I was born into. And that is also the other thing I can't stop thinking about. Whenever things like this happen, you know, the second thing I think about is, you know, I could have been born into a timeline where, like, I got to see Hall & Oates and Madonna and the Cars performing at Live Aid in 1985. I could have been born into a timeline where I got to see the Beatles performing live on Ed Sullivan. You know, I could have been born into a timeline where I got to go see Led Zeppelin live in the 70s. But instead, I was born into a timeline where people are crying on Twitter about American Eagle doing Nazi propaganda because Sydney Sweeney is hot and has big tits. That's the timeline I was born into. I don't know who to blame for this. You know, I don't know if I should be mad at my mom. I don't know if I should be mad at God. I don't know what God I should be mad at, but I need to be mad at somebody. I need to be mad at somebody for, you know, seeing to it that this was the generation I was born into. Something went wrong here. I think it's a little too late to demand a refund. I don't think I can get a do-over. Let's pull up another one of these. You know, there's plenty of these. I got a few of these. Saved. I'm gonna pull up as many of these as I can. These are all just ridiculous. And then we'll actually get into the meat of it.
Did American Eagle just run an ad for eugenics?
No.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring.
No, that is the answer to your question. No, they did not.
Ad for eugenics?
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very keens.
Totally just talking about denim, right? Just a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman explaining how her good genes gave her personality and purity. I mean, are we really going to pretend that this isn't a little fashy-coded? Look, I'm not saying that Sydney Sweeney personally wrote this ad to revive the Third Reich, but American Eagle absolutely knew what they were doing here. You don't get to drop lines about inherited traits, blue eyes, and great genes while zooming in on somebody that could have walked straight off of a Nazi propaganda poster and expect people not to catch that reference. Good genes used to mean racial purity in fascist circles, and now it's just denim marketing. We are watching fascist aesthetics sneak back into pop culture through fashion ads, tradwife influencers, and yes, now blue jeans. If you think this was an innocent ad, you have not been paying attention.
Keep in mind and notice that everybody making these videos, they're all dogs. Let's just be honest here. They're all dogs. Nobody that made one of these videos talking about how Sydney Sweeney looks like she's from a Nazi propaganda poster, they're all dogs, right? You'll never see a person more attractive than Sydney Sweeney saying this stuff. That is just something I have to take note of. You know, there's not a single attractive person who is saying these things. Just a side note. Just a quick side note that it's only these like absolute 3 out of 10s who are making these videos given this commentary. I do think that's something to point out. Yeah, no, as if the joke needs explaining. It's a double entendre. It's funny. You switch the spelling of jeans and you get the other jeans. Haha. I literally, the first time I saw these clips, these ads, my first thought, I chuckled to myself. I thought, oh, ha, that's funny. They did the jeans thing. Yeah, she's got great genes. You know, meaning her denim and her genetics. Okay, so look, first and foremost, first of all, yes, Sydney Sweeney obviously has great genes, meaning genetics, right? She is obviously a very pretty human being. There's nothing wrong with pointing out that she has great genetics. You know who else has great genes? Fucking Rihanna and fucking Beyonce and I don't know, like Keke Palmer and Hillary from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know, there are also a lot of other people of different colors and ethnicities and races and whatever that have great genes. It's literally because Sydney Sweeney is white. You know, I mean, You could do the, it's kind of a cliche at this point, but you could do the classic race swap. And you know exactly how it would go. If that same commercial was made, but it was a black girl, nobody would be saying any of this. If that exact same commercial that just played was done, but with a black girl, nobody would say any of this. And I wish American Eagle, I wish these brands would do ballsy things like that. Like, I wish next week American Eagle would release the exact same ad, but with like a black actress, you know? Like, do that and just laugh at the internet, because you know what would happen? Nobody would say a fucking word about it. It's the most insane thing. It's absurd to act like we can't, like we just can't acknowledge that, yeah, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. I don't know what's wrong with that. Like, yeah, she's a pretty human being. Pretty human beings usually come from good genetics. It's not that complicated. It's not that ridiculous. It's not that outlandish, you know. It's like I said, it's a double entendre. It was funny. It was silly. Let's do let's pull up. I got a couple on Instagram too. Yeah, I got some from all over the place. I came prepared today.
Surprised that a company whose name is literally American Eagle is making fascist propaganda like this? Probably not, but it's still really shocking. Like, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman is talking about her good genes. Like, that is Nazi propaganda. Would you be surprised that a company whose...
Man, I just can't believe this. I think it's my mom that I have to be mad at. Maybe that I'm just going to be mad at my mom. Like, my mom is the reason that I was born in 93. And then I'm here today to be witnessing this. Like, we just can't have commercials with hot, chesty blondes anymore. Like, we just can't have that. We can't have nice things anymore. We just can't have nice things. Let's see, what else do I got? Like I said, I got a handful today. Here's another lady. There's another one of these fucking ladies. Let me go back over to Twitter for this one. This lady, I don't even think this lady actually played the ad in her video. She's really trying to fuck us over with this one.
Hey, American Eagle, now do black and brown women. Because black and brown women...
Oh, that is really funny too. She says, now do black and brown women. I will pull up their ads from 2019 that were black and brown women, and also fat women. So it's funny that this girl is saying, oh, now do black and brown women, as if American Eagle has never done ads with black and brown women. Like I said, we'll get to that.
Also have great genes that they inherit from their parents. Did you know that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I just said, plenty of fucking black girls in the world that have great genes. Absolutely. A ton of them. A fucking ton of them. But because that's true, we're just not allowed to point out the white girls that have great genes too? Like, we're just not allowed to say that. You're only ever allowed to talk about the black and brown women that have great genes. Like, it's completely fucking bizarre.
They also have butts.
Did she just fart out of her fucking mouth?
They also have...
Yeah, look at this absolute fucking slob. Can't even fucking brush her hair. I'm just gonna go off right now. This absolute slob just farting out of her fucking mouth in her car wants to complain about Sydney Sweeney because Sydney Sweeney's hot. Like I said, only dogs are making videos like this. Only fucking dogs are complaining about Sydney Sweeney.
That? They also have butts that look really good in jeans as well. But they don't have to fit their butts into American Eagle jeans. And I realize that the point of the ads, if we're all understanding them correctly, is that you're trying to point in the direction away from black and brown women, right?
No, not at all. What do you mean we're pointing away from black and brown women? Again, you're just not allowed to acknowledge that there are pretty white girls in the world. I don't even understand what she's saying with that. Like, that commercial is pointing away from black women because they're like 10-second ads. We got like 3 10-second ads with a pretty white girl. Like, calm the fuck down.
Right. See, here's the thing. There's women like me out there.
Yeah, absolute fucking dogs who sit in their car and fart out of their fucking mouths. and cry on Twitter about fucking pretty girls on the internet. Yeah, there are people like you out there, unfortunately.
The white women who give a fuck. And the white women who had their mother spend a substantial amount of money at your place of establishment whenever I was a cunt of a teenager back in the day. Okay? And now I'm a mom. And now I will not be spending a fucking dime if she ever asked me to go there. Hell no. So maybe.
Oh, God. American Eagle. Watch out. Be on alert. They just might be filing for bankruptcy tomorrow because this fucking slob farting out of her mouth in her car is not going to spend $1 there anymore. Oh my God. Has American Eagle learned about this lady? Has American Eagle learned that this lady will not be spending $1 there? Have they started panicking yet?
Unless you want to become the next target, do black and brown women too.
Okay, yeah, so she says do black and brown women too. Let's pull up the 2019 ad where they did do black and brown women. I have that picture right up here. This was their entire ad campaign for fucking 2019. American Eagle. Do black and brown women too. Here you go. This is what happened in 2019. I don't think anybody gave a fuck. I don't think their stocks shot up. That's the funny thing. That's the funniest thing is how there was that news about, like, the day after they did the Sydney Sweeney ads, their stocks just fucking skyrocketed, just shot up. I know nothing about stocks. I don't know any of the fucking numbers. I just remember seeing the reports that, yeah, their stocks shot up pretty good after the Sydney Sweeney ads. Because whether you like it or not, American culture was built on hot, chesty, blonde babes. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't know what you want. Like, most people like hot chicks. That's just kind of the way it is. Most people like hot chicks with big tits. Not these kind of big tits. These are the kind of big tits where they don't count because everything else is big. You know, there are those guys that will get with big girls and they'll say, yeah, I like big tits. And I'm like, yeah, but they don't count if everything else is big. You know, like, I would hope their tits are big because the rest of them is big. You know, I don't know what to tell you guys. Yeah, most people like hot chicks with big tits, especially when they're getting into Mustangs. You know, add that on top of it. They're getting into Mustangs. It's very ridiculous. These people are just mad. They're just mad. They're just mad that this whole deal where they spent like 5 years trying to convince us that, like, fat girls were like the beauty standard. You know, we went through like 5 years of them like trying to drill it into our brains that Lizzo is actually like the standard of beauty in the world. And it didn't work. Because of course it doesn't fucking work, because you can't beat, you know, you just can't beat like what people like, what people are actually naturally attracted to. Let's see, I got a fucking another one. Oh yeah, no, we came prepared.
From parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very keen.
They're literally saying the quiet part out loud, but was it ever truly quiet when you're wearing dumbass merch like this? I mean, really, make America great again. When was America ever great? Their definition of...
I think these people are like genuinely mentally ill. Like, these people that like can't open their eyes without seeing Donald Trump everywhere. Like, you can't open your eyes without that filter of like make America great again over your eyes. Like, you've just been so consumed by this, like, I guess like set of ideas and beliefs or whatever. Like, you just cannot look any direction without seeing a red MAGA hat. Like, just everything you see is just through the lens of like a red MAGA hat. It just, I don't know. I think it seems like a miserable existence, you know? Like I said, the first time I saw these commercials, I just thought, oh yeah, Sydney Sweeney's hot. Jeans, haha. It's a double entendre. It's a pun. How funny. You know, it's clever. Like, I probably made a joke about jeans in jeans when I was in like the 2nd grade. Like, hey guys, look at my cool jeans. And then it's so fucking ridiculous. I can't believe this is the world I live in. Like, this is the fucking world I live in. I'm trying to launch a YouTube channel in this world. Like, this is the world. that I have to work with.
Of greatness was when this country was full of white supremacists and that slavery still existed. And now we have this interesting ad with a play on words where we pass on blue genes to those genetically with blue eyes. And let me just guess that they're gonna mark.
What do you mean passing on blue jeans to people with blue eyes? No, anybody can wear blue jeans. Like, you can go to the store and buy the same blue jeans that Sydney Sweeney's wearing in the commercial. It's, I don't know, I don't understand what she's saying there.
That these jeans are made out of 100% cotton.
Oh my god. Yeah, these jeans are made out of, they're gonna market that these jeans are cotton. Like, are we really gonna do the cotton thing?
Jeans are made out of 100% cotton. Heaven forbid that there's any poly blend or any mixture of other fabrics, because you know.
I can't fuck this lady. I can't do this. Get this absolute fucking retard off my computer screen. I can't do that one. So no cotton jeans. Don't wear cotton jeans. Otherwise, I guess that's implying that, like, that's racist. I don't even know what the fuck. Absolutely fucking retarded. This is too much. I could sit here and get mad for like a fucking hour about this. This is absolute fucking insanity. This is why the world is depressed. This is why America is so depressed and so anxious and so retarded, and nobody can read, and nobody can go outside without having panic attacks, and nobody knows what they are or who they are. Like, this is what's wrong. It's people like this. You know, we can't do blue jeans commercials anymore. We can't have denim commercials. We can't have commercials for American Eagle denim clothing without people crying Nazi propaganda. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, take me out of here now. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to fucking be here anymore.
Eagle is actively promoting eugenics by using Sydney Sweeney and saying things like, Sydney Sweeney has great genes, aka not the jeans on she's wearing, but the jeans on her face, body, everything. She's a white woman with blonde hair, blue eyes, skinny, able-bodied, young.
Oh dear God, not an able-bodied girl. Not a girl with full use of her arms and legs. And, like, there's like, it's just all so much reaching. Like, I don't know how, like, I understand, like, thinking deeply about things, but I don't understand, like, you watch an American Eagle commercial, right? A teeny bopper clothing brand does a commercial for jeans, and they cast a hot chick with big tits, and they have her get into a Mustang, right? Why? Because most people like hot chicks with big tits, and most people like cool cars. And then they make a little funny joke. Jeans, haha. You spell it one way, it's blue jeans. You spell it another way, it's genetic. Like, it's so much reaching. Like, you're talking about able-bodied people after watching an American Eagle commercial. I don't know, like, read a book. Read a real book. If you want to start thinking deep about shit, like, go read something.
Okay, and when I was watching the ads on the American Eagle TikTok page, a lot of people were saying, like, oh, they're sexualizing her, like, this is supposed to be for, like, young girls and teenage girls. Eugenics, you get it. Think a little bit more. A lot of things are about race.
No, think a little bit less. This is one of those examples. Think a little bit less. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't always need to be in this, like, heightened state of, like, paranoia. I don't know. Like, it's this weird, like, you just can't take anything for, like, what it is. Everything has to be turned into, like I said, the last lady talked about fucking cotton. The last lady was talking about how the jeans are probably made out of 100% cotton. Are you serious? We're really going to bring up cotton? Like, we're really going to talk about how the jeans are made out of cotton and start talking about slavery? You know, Tim Dillon, this clip was from a long time ago, but Tim Dillon had this really great little clip where he was saying that, you know, I think he was along the lines of, like, yeah, we're all so depressed nowadays because of, like, he was talking about how, you know, years ago, back in the day when stuff was more normal, when you turned on the TV at 7 in the morning and you turned on, like, the news, or you turned on, like, one of those, like, morning channels where it's like 4 women talking, like The View or something, right? When you turned on the TV at 7 in the morning, they were talking about, like, seasonal cupcake recipes, and, oh, we got a dog trainer on the show today. She's going to show us her cute little chihuahua that does laps around a course. Well, today you turn on the TV at 7 in the morning, they're talking about the Holocaust. Like today you get the Holocaust at 7 in the morning every day. And this is I feel like this is the same thing, right? Like you get a commercial for jeans from American Eagle, and people are talking about able-bodied people and eugenics and Nazi propaganda, and it's like, no, think a little less. You know, like that's your problem. Don't think a little bit more. Don't do what this girl right here is telling you to do. Don't think a little bit more. Think a little bit less. Oh yeah, dude, I'm about to deck out my wardrobe with American Eagle clothing. I have now just become like a huge American Eagle fan just because I'm a contrarian and this shit is hilarious. 100% cotton is great for you too. Polyester is literally refined oil and plastics. Giving everyone the opportunity to give their dumbass opinions has to get our... Yeah, no, not everybody should... You know, I don't know. I can't talk because here I am with a fucking microphone that I bought for not a lot of money, giving my opinion on the internet. But it's just, it's gone way too far. This whole thing has gone way too far.
A lot of things are just not about misogyny or sexism. They're also about race. Sydney Sweeney is being used like that white woman in Handmaid's Tale. You know, the one who wore green.
People need to stop bringing up Handmaid's Tale as if it's like the gospel. Handmaid's Tale is a work of fiction. That is something that I've always thought was weird about the Handmaid's Tale thing. Honestly, Annie brings up Handmaid's Tale all the time. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but dude, that's like a work of fiction. That's like if I brought up Blade Runner. That's like if we were talking about like some real serious shit or like talking about politics, and I was like, well, yeah, but in Blade Runner 2049, which like, sure, there are fictional works that you can bring up in cases, but the Handmaid's Tale thing has gotten way too ridiculous. Like, people bring up Handmaid's Tale as if it was written by Jesus Christ himself, and he's like prophesizing. It's ridiculous.
And she was the wife of the fascist who also made the laws for Handmaid's Tale to discriminate against women. Yes, that's what's happening right now, and it's a push towards making sure people know that you, and you, we're not welcomed here. We're not welcome to American Eagle. Eugenics.
Yeah, American Eagle only wants white people to shop there, right? That's what she's saying. American Eagle wants to lower their purchase, wants to lower their customer base. Is that what this girl's saying? Is this girl really saying that American Eagle only wants white customers? Like, have you ever heard of business? Have you ever heard of, like, commerce? Like, what are you talking about? What business in the world is only going to want white customers? No, that's like, these people are genuinely retarded and or mentally ill. Like, it has to be one or the other. I can't accept anything else anymore. It's either and or. Like, they're retarded or they're just like mentally deranged. Like, what do you mean American Eagle only wants white customers? No, American Eagle wants every single person in the world to buy their clothing. That's the point of a business. I guess all these people, I mean, they all hate capitalism. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's, they don't comprehend, they don't understand what the point of a business is. But no, American Eagle is not telling you that you're not welcome there. Bro, again, I just pulled up the 2019 American Eagle ad campaign. It was all fat black girls. Like, we're just gonna forget about the 2019 American Eagle commercials? Dude, these people should just fucking, whether they play golf, like, go outside, like, do something. Yeah, go outside. This girl in this video right here, she's probably been laying on, I don't know if this is a couch or a bed, but she's probably been laying there for hours, like scrolling on her phone, and then made this video. Yeah, get up and go outside.
Yes.
One of the things that I think is funny is that, like, I don't know where these people, like, are, I don't know where they're spending their time, but like, these people, like, people know that racism is not cool, right? Like, it's not trendy or cool. Like, these people do realize this, right? Like, it's not, like, what would American Eagle have to benefit, right? Like, American Eagle, like, what these people are saying is that American Eagle intentionally made this racist commercial, this Nazi propaganda. What would that benefit them? Like, what would that do for them? What would the purpose of that be? Like first of all, I do not believe that the American Eagle marketing team is like rubbing their hands together in a dark room going like, yeah, how can we make a Nazi propaganda commercial? How can we do the bidding of Adolf Hitler? Like, bro, no. American Eagle's marketing team is not doing that. But like, yeah, what would the benefit for them be? Like, what would they get out of that? What is like, racism's not cool. Again, I don't know how many times people need to say that. It's so like these people are right. They're generally left wingers, right? Like let's call that how it is. They're like on the left, and it's like, dude, left wing like ideas and culture have had a stranglehold on like American culture for fucking years now. Which I'm not saying is good or bad. I'm just saying that's the way it is. Like our culture is very, very like strongly influenced by left-wing ideas and whatnot. Like racism is not cool. People who are found out to be racist have their lives ruined and destroyed, and like are relegated to, talking on Rumble to like 10 people, if they're like doing influencer type shit. Like, it's not cool or trendy. Like, so I don't know where these people think like, what would a racist commercial benefit American Eagle? Like, how would that work for them? Why would they even want to do that? Like I was just saying, that black girl is saying, oh, American Eagle's letting us know that we're not welcome. This is only for white people. So they want to make less money. That's what you're telling me. You're telling me that American Eagle only wants white people to shop there. That's what you're saying? Like, instead of having every single person of every single different race and ethnicity buying their products, you think they only want to sell to white people? I don't think that's the goal of any business ever. American Eagle is owned by jeez, we're not even going to go down that route. No way. No, but regardless, like I said, American Eagle did. Look at their 29 ad campaign. Like, these people are just now conveniently leaving out that American Eagle did an entire ad campaign of fat black chicks in 2019. Like, that was the whole ad in 2019. I just don't get like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's all too much for me. I can't understand these people. I think these people refuse to understand. These people refuse to accept that they're not you're not the underdog anymore. That's kind of what I always hate about it, is that they constantly pretend that they are like the underdog who is fighting against the man. It's like, no, dude, like Hollywood makes movies for you guys now. Like, you guys are running the show. Hollywood is making movies for you. Especially if, you live in like a blue state. A lot of these, that's the other thing. A lot of these people are people that live in blue states. It's like, bro, you guys are running the show right now. Hollywood makes movies and TV shows for you. Colleges cater to you. Like, academia is all about you guys. Even like the medical industry now, like, heavily leans in favor of you guys. I don't understand why these people continue to act like they're the underdog, or why they continue, I mean, it's like they're punching up, right? They're trying to play underdog and they're punching up, but they're hitting nothing because there's nobody above them, because they're already on top. Like I said, left-wing ideology has a stranglehold on American culture, basically. So it's basically, I mean, it would be suicide if American Eagle actually made like a racist commercial. Yeah. Yeah, no, the left wing is like, as far as pop culture goes, as far as like the arts, as far as academia, like I said, even into the medical industry, like, it all is in favor of them. Like, they are running the show. So for them to just continuously act like, like, oh no, actually American Eagle is pandering to like the popular Nazi, like, where are these popular Nazis that American Eagle is trying to like attract? I don't know where these people are. I don't know who these people are. I think they just made a commercial with a hot blonde chick with big tits, and they made a funny little pun with the whole jeans thing. You spell it two different ways. Haha, she's got great jeans. Think less. That's what I would say. Think less when it comes to that. To me, intelligence is not only the ability to think deeply about things, but I think it's knowing when to apply deep thought. Like sometimes, sometimes a fucking box is just a box. Like sometimes there's nothing in the box. Sometimes the fucking glass of water is just a fucking glass of water. Like you don't need to think deep about all this shit. It's the same thing with like technology. Like I keep saying, like the mark of intelligence is like knowing, like, yes, we could continue to advance technologically, but I don't think we should. I think the mark of intelligence would be knowing when to stop, knowing when to not run off the cliff. These people have run off the cliff a long time ago. It's not intelligence to just continuously keep trying to force deep thought into things like a fucking American Eagle commercial. Like you're trying way too hard. You're trying way too hard to apply. Oh, think a little bit more. Just think a little bit more. No, stop. You're thinking so hard that you're just making shit up. You're legitimately talking about the jeans being cotton, as if that's some kind of some kind of metaphor for slavery. Yeah, sometimes Sydney Sweeney is just a hot chick. Sometimes that's all it is. Sometimes it is literally just Sydney Sweeney is a hot chick with great tits, and she's getting into a Mustang, and she looks good. That's literally all it is. Like I said, who else has great jeans? Fucking Beyonce. Beyonce also has fantastic jeans. Put her in that commercial and have her say those exact same lines, and nobody would say a fucking word about it. Nobody would care. Yeah, no. Like that's that. I really feel bad for Sydney Sweeney. Is kind of who I feel bad for. They're never gonna like Sydney Sweeney though. Like I said, that's really what it is they're just mad that Sydney Sweeney is still like the it girl of Hollywood. Like they tried for years to convince us that like Bella Ramsey was gonna be the new it girl, or like some girl like Lizzo was gonna be the new it girl. That's all it is. They're just mad that it's still Sydney Sweeney. Like they want us to believe that Lizzo is like I said, the new standard of beauty, and she's just not. She's just not. It's just that simple. She's just not. It's still Sydney Sweeney. It's gonna be Sydney Sweeney until she gets older. Like that's just kind of how shit works. I don't understand. There's this one guy. I came across this video. I guess I gotta preface this with I've seen some other clips from this guy, and I definitely do not agree with some of the shit that he says at all. But in this case, I think what this guy says is fucking awesome.
Color, personality, and even eye color. My jeans are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has her jeans.
Only unfortunate-looking women and gay men who want to be women are hating on Sydney Sweeney. Now walk with me. Hot white people, this is your sign to stop being ashamed of your Caucasian excellence. Liberals are losing their minds because Sydney Sweeney isn't ashamed to be a blonde, blue-eyed white woman. The American Eagle ad is not fascist. It just shows that the high BMI positivity movement is over. I don't need to see every skin tone, gender identity, and weight class in order to buy a product. I want to see hot people, and Sydney's denim jeans rack is uniting our country. Notice how no one hotter or more successful than you is concerned about what you wear, do, or look like? Exactly. Hot people get it, and we've all been wronged by unfortunate-looking people.
Determining trait.
Even that guy got a little too deep for me when he talked about white excellence or whatever. I don't know what the fuck that's even all about. But yeah, same thing. Notice how none of the people complaining about Sydney Sweeney are hotter than Sydney Sweeney. There's no attractive people complaining about Sydney Sweeney. I mean, I don't know if that's what it really comes down to. Sydney Sweeney is kind of ruining their whole idea of, like, they thought they were going to become the new hot people of the world, and it didn't work out for them, so they're just mad. I don't know if that's what it is. Or like I said, I don't know. Maybe it is just absolute retardation. Maybe it is just fucking some kind of mental illness. I don't know. I don't fucking know what it is. But this is the timeline I was born into. This is the world that I was placed into, that I was dropped into, where we can't just enjoy hot chicks in jeans commercials anymore. Like, we're just not allowed to enjoy hot chicks with big tits. It's just not. You're just not. It's Nazi propaganda now. Like, oh my god, absolutely ridiculous. Like, I could yell about this. I could go in my car and have like a yelling session about this. Like, this is when I was born. Out of all the times in the world, like I said, I could have seen Metallica in the late 80s. Right? I could have been born at a time when I could pay $20 and see Metallica in the late 80s. But instead, I was born into this timeline where Sydney Sweeney getting into a Mustang is Nazi propaganda. That's the timeline I was born into. Yeah, it's no hobbies. Yeah, that is true, because their hobbies now is just like politicizing everything. That is what their hobbies are now. Their hobbies are pretending that they're like these political geniuses and social justice warriors. So then they just end up making up crazy shit. That probably is it too. They have no real hobbies. Their hobbies are scrolling on their phones, looking at TikTok politics, and trying to be smart on Twitter. And what do you get? You get a bunch of people saying that a teeny bopper clothing brand commercial is doing Nazi propaganda. Like, dude, rewind to like 2009, right? When I was a freshman in high school and every girl I had a crush on was wearing American Eagle. Tell that version of me, hey, you know, in the future, that cheerleader that sits next to you in English class that you have a crush on, her clothes are going to be considered Nazi propaganda. I wouldn't have even like said it. I wouldn't have laughed. I wouldn't have frowned. I would have had no idea what to say. Like, what are you even fucking talking about? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what these people's deal is. It's not everything is racist, you know. And I'm like a generally negative dude. I'm a pretty pessimistic, negative dude when it comes to the world. I think a lot of people are evil in the world. I think a lot of motherfuckers are evil. I think there's a lot of crazy shit going on behind the scenes in the world. But, you know, goddamn, I do not believe that the American Eagle marketing team is sitting around scheming about ways to do the bidding of Adolf Hitler and promote eugenics and Nazi propaganda. Like, even just having to say that out loud. Jesus Christ. Even having to say that out loud. Even having to get on a YouTube channel with no subscribers and say that, hey guys, the new American Eagle commercial, it's not Nazi propaganda. It's just a hot chick with big tits. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's just Sydney Sweeney. She's just popular. She's just got great tits. She gets into a Mustang. She makes a joke about her jeans being good jeans because it's a jeans commercial. Like, I can't believe we even have to say that. I just can't believe it. And this is, like I said, like I will keep saying, these are the cards that I've been dealt. This is the time that I was born into. You know, dude, I could have even been born. I don't know. I don't know. I would have taken any other time, but now it seems like this is just fucking ridiculous. We got to talk about American Eagle commercials being fucking Nazi propaganda. It's just not that difficult. It's not that difficult. It's really not. It's not that difficult. It's not that complicated. It's not that, you know, it's not that cynical. It's not that evil. It's a hot chick with great tits. And yeah, like I said, she's got great genes. There are millions of people across the world of all different races and ethnicities, and they all have great genes. Like there are great genes across every. Like, God forbid we get one commercial. That's I saw one tweet that said that too. Like, God forbid we get one commercial with a white chick in it. Like, God forbid we acknowledge that there is one white chick in the world that does have great genetics. You know, God forbid. God forbid we're allowed to point out that, yeah, there are white people that have good genes too. Like, you know, dear God, the world is coming to an end. Like, oh no, there are white people that have good genes. Okay, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't know what to do about it. There's nothing. I'm gonna die in this world for sure too. Like, this is not gonna go away before I die. You know, like I will die in this world. I will die, and the day that I die, the headlines in the news it's gonna be like, uh, you know, Hollister is going to be doing like Nazi propaganda, right? Or like Hollister is going to be doing like Russian prop. That's what it is. The day I die, the headlines are going to read like Hollister slammed for Russian propaganda. Like there's something like, I don't know. I don't fucking know. So hard segue. Yesterday, my friend sent me this meme right here. This made me laugh. This is TN when TN was slowing down Imperfect Cell. So obviously the implications of this yeah, no, that's the other thing. There are plenty of bad things about white people too. Like it's not nobody. No, I don't think anybody in the American Eagle commercial was saying that like all white people are perfect and all of their genetics are good. Like that wasn't the implication at all. At all. Yeah, the implication here being that Hulk Hogan is trying to get into heaven, but Ozzy Osbourne is blocking him from getting into heaven, and Hulk Hogan is down in hell. And this is the only meme of this that I saved, but there are memes like this going around everywhere, where Ozzy Osbourne is in heaven and Hulk Hogan is in hell. So my buddy texted me and he said, "What does this mean?" Because he doesn't know that much about Ozzy or Hulk Hogan. And I said, "Oh, this is going around everywhere. These kids are, they all, they're all saying they love Ozzy. Rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. He's a legend," which of course is true. But of course, all the kids hate Hulk Hogan. And of course, they're all saying, Hulk Hogan, of course, Hulk Hogan is in hell and Ozzy Osbourne is in heaven. Well, then I got to thinking, why don't we get deep into the nuanced weeds, right? Nobody else wants to do this. I'll do it. We'll get deep into the nuance, the type of shit that makes people uncomfortable nowadays. And we're going to compare the sins. I've got 2 sins each, right? I have 2 sins each of Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan. So I guess first and foremost, like full preface type shit. I'm a big fan of Ozzy Osbourne. I'm a big fan of Hulk Hogan. I love rock and roll and rock and roll history. I love professional wrestling and professional wrestling history. And then second, preface number 2, I'm not condoning any of the behavior that I'm going to talk about for the next however many minutes. Like none of the things I'm going to get into are things that I would say are good things or things that I would condone at all whatsoever. Completely condemn everything that we're going to get into. So Ozzy Osbourne. There's a couple famous stories about Ozzy Osbourne that are very well known. You can find these. Ozzy and Sharon have both told these stories. One about Ozzy Osbourne is that one time when he was doing drugs and drinking like he was back in his day, Ozzy apparently got so fucked off on whatever drugs he was taking and whatever he was drinking that he blacked out, and he went over to Sharon, his wife, and he said, "It's time for you to die." And he began to strangle Sharon Osbourne. He began to strangle Sharon so badly, attempting to kill her, that she had to fight him off and press a panic button in her house. I don't know the context of the panic button. I would assume that she had a panic button in the house because something like this had happened multiple times. So she had to press the panic button, which called the police. The police came, they arrested Ozzy, they took him to jail, and then Sharon had to go to jail and drop the charges and pick him up. So that is what attempted murder, domestic abuse, assault, violence against your wife, like one of the worst things you could possibly do. Literally tries to murder his wife while blacked out on drugs. Very well-known story. Ozzy and Sharon both tell it. You can find it anywhere. There's another story about Ozzy, again, blacking out on whatever drugs he was taking and whatever he was drinking, where he apparently, in the middle of a blackout, got his gun and he shot 17 of his household pet cats. I guess the Osbournes had a lot of cats at this time. So, and Meet the Osbournes, they have a lot of pets. They've got dogs and cats running around everywhere. I don't know the years of these stories, but they're all well known. You can find them anywhere. Ozzy Osbourne shot and murdered 17 cats, like his family's pet cats. Shot 17 of them, killed them all. Double digits, like double-digit cats killed them. So Ozzy Osbourne's 2 sins for the night are attempted murder, domestic abuse, assault, violence, whatever, murdering double-digit cats, right? And then Hulk Hogan's sins, and I'm only bringing up these 2 because these are the 2 sins that, you know, that these kids, I'm mostly talking about the kids that are posting memes like this on the internet. And I'm going to come to the conclusion here in a minute. Hulk Hogan's 2 sins are saying the N-word on a private phone call that was recorded without his knowledge, and endorsing Donald Trump, right? He gave that whole speech at the Republican National Convention and endorsed Donald Trump. So you take those 2 sins versus Ozzy's 2 sins, and the kids today will tell you that Ozzy is in heaven, but Hulk Hogan is in hell. Now, obviously, I would say, let's be real, these kids that are posting these memes, they don't know anything about Ozzy Osbourne, right? I talked about that. Yes, I'm a curmudgeon, I'm a gatekeeper, 100% I'm a fucking gatekeeper. I'm tired of these fucking kids talking about shit they know nothing about. These fucking kids that know nothing about Ozzy Osbourne, they've never said a word about Black Sabbath, and all of a sudden they're devastated and they're choked up and they're heartbroken about the death of Ozzy Osbourne, and rest in peace to a legend, and oh my god. These are the kids that are posting these memes. They know nothing about Ozzy Osbourne. Like I said, there are girls that I'm friends with on Facebook that are like die-hard modern day wannabe feminists, right? Like, sure, you're devastated about Ozzy. Let's talk about the way Ozzy treated women in the 70s and 80s, let alone his own wife, you know? And I only brought up 2 of Ozzy Osbourne's sins because there's only 2 of Hulk Hogan's to put up against Ozzy's. If I wanted to, I could go pull up a million of Ozzy's, you know? Like I said, not condoning of any of these things, but I think that's a decent thought exercise if you want to really test your morals, you know, who's going to heaven and who's going to hell. The guy that said some racist shit, some really bad, heinous racist shit on a private phone call with a friend and endorsed a certain politician for president, or the guy who murdered cats in the middle of a blackout, tried to murder his wife in the middle of a blackout. I mean, there's stories of him cheating on Sharon. Even Ozzy will tell you for the first like 5 years of him and Sharon's relationship, he didn't know her name. He was calling her his first wife's name. Cheated on Sharon constantly, was completely physically abusive to her constantly, you know? And again, these are all things that can be forgiven too, by the way, right? Like, I'm sure there are kids that know these things about Ozzy and they say, well, that can be forgiven. Of course he can go to heaven. You know, God forgives all. But then they'll turn around and tell you, well, no, not Hulk Hogan. You know, because, oh my God, Hulk Hogan, he endorsed Donald Trump, you know. And let's be real, that endorsement of Donald Trump, I think, is the main thing. That, again, from the perspective of these kids that are posting memes like this, these 18 through 23-year-old wannabe hipsters on the internet, you know. Obviously, Hulk Hogan's real greatest sin is his whole racist rant on that phone call. That is the actual greatest sin. But from the perspective of the kids that are posting memes like this, let's be completely real. It's the fact that he endorsed Donald Trump. I think if that never happened, if Hulk Hogan never did the whole Hulk Hogan racist phone call leak, that really was only remembered by wrestling fans for the longest time. Like, I'm not saying that went away after a while, but after a while, that was really only talked about in, like, professional wrestling comment sections. Like, you weren't going around on Facebook and seeing, like, non-wrestling fans talking about Hulk Hogan being racist. But once Hulk Hogan did that speech at the RNC and endorsed Trump, you know, of course, the people on Twitter that know nothing about professional wrestling and know nothing about Hulk Hogan had to go dig up dirt on him because they've got to take down anybody that supports Donald Trump. So then they went and they found that phone call. And to me, that's when that really became mainstream. You know, like I said, I'm not saying it went away after a while. I'm just saying it went away to people that weren't wrestling fans, like people that were not in wrestling circles on the internet weren't talking about that. But once he did the whole Donald Trump thing, that got brought up. So that's really my only point about that, is if you want to do a fun little moral exercise in your own head, either both of you have to either believe both of them are in hell or both of them are in heaven. Like, I'm sorry, you're not separating the two. You're not telling me that Ozzy Osbourne is in heaven, but Hulk Hogan is in hell. Like I said, not condoning Hulk Hogan's actions in words at all whatsoever. But I'm gonna go ahead and, I guess, put out what I don't even think should be considered a hot take, but I guess would be considered a hot take. I think if you're comparing sins on a moral scale, yeah, I think attempting to murder your wife and murdering 17 cats is probably a little bit worse than saying the N-word on a phone call with a friend. I would argue that pretty much any time. I know a lot of people wouldn't want to. Luckily, I don't have any viewers on this channel, so I can still say things like this. But, like I said, coming from these kids who know nothing about Hulk Hogan and know nothing about Ozzy Osbourne, I just think it's rich seeing memes like this. Like, Ozzy Osbourne is the defender of heaven against Hulk Hogan. Oh yeah, no, Hulk's done plenty of, all the wrestlers do. Like, most of the big wrestlers do a lot of good shit for kids, and a lot of Make-A-Wish, a lot of charity. Yeah, no, it's all nuance, and nuance is something that, people on the internet don't like. Like, people are terrified of nuance. That's why I always say, we're gonna get into the nuance weeds. Like, people are terrified of nuance nowadays. I don't understand why. Like, things can be good and bad. People can do good and bad things. It's let's be real. It's kind of disgusting, the treatment that Hulk Hogan has been getting on the internet from people that. My opinion on it pretty much now is, I just think if you're not a wrestling fan, I don't want to hear it from you. I don't care. If you're not a wrestling fan, I don't care what you have to say about Hulk Hogan. I as soon as you tell me you don't watch wrestling, you know nothing about pro wrestling history or the legacy of Hulkamania, I don't really care. I don't care what your opinion is. Yeah, the guy's got his sins for sure. The guy's got plenty of sins stacked up to the ceiling, just like everybody else does. But you notice it's the wrestling fans, people that listen to Jim Cornette and people that listen to Solid Monster. They talk about it's a complicated legacy. There's nuance. There's a lot of nuance. You condemn the things that Terry Bollea has said, but you appreciate and respect the legacy of Hulkamania. But then you go over to the non-wrestling side of the internet, people that know nothing about anything, they just know what they saw on CNN or on TikTok. They're the ones that are, yeah, Hulk Hogan is looking up at us right now from hell. But Ozzy Osbourne, he's up in heaven. Come on, dude. It's rich. Fucking save it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from a lot of these people. I mean, they're the same people that are telling us that the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle commercial is Nazi propaganda. That's the best way to put it. The same people that think a Sydney Sweeney commercial is Nazi propaganda are the same people that will tell you that Hulk Hogan is in hell, but Ozzy Osbourne, he's up in heaven. Before I get to my last topic, I do think I think today is actually today is Lori Laughlin's birthday. Aunt Becky from Full House. So that's pretty cool. I think she's 61. I like her a lot as Christian in the movie Rad from 1986. That's probably, of course, my favorite role of hers. Oh, dude. Yeah, Hulk Hogan as an American cultural icon. There's literally comments. I posted some memes on the Instagram page. I posted the Ozzy meme that popped off, and I posted the Hulk Hogan meme that popped off. There are a couple people that commented on the Hulk Hogan meme, and I'm not even kidding. They literally said, nobody will even remember Hulk Hogan next week. And when the posts pop off like that, I don't comment on them. There's no point. But yeah, people legitimately trying to argue that Hulk Hogan will not even be remembered next week. I was like, okay, dude, like you're a tryhard. That's what's going on. Like you're being intentionally retarded just because you don't like a guy, because you saw one news article headline that said like Hulk Hogan says the N-word in a phone call. Like I guarantee you that's all they know about him. They saw Twitter, they saw a tweet that said Hulk Hogan said the N-word in a phone call, and then they came straight over to a comment section and said Hulk Hogan won't even be remembered after next week. Like, okay, like I just feel sorry for you. Like you're just trying hard. You're trying to like rile people up in comment sections. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Hulk Hogan won't be remembered next week. Hulk Hogan was like legitimately the most famous person on the planet for a time in the 80s. Like the first WrestleMania. Like, dude, come on. Yeah, yeah, that's the one. The first WrestleMania. Uh Hulk Hogan and fucking Mr. T. Like I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anything about Hulk Hogan will not be remembered next week. Hulk Hogan on fucking MTV was like hanging out with Cyndi Lauper and fucking Mr. T, and yeah, sure, Hulk Hogan won't be remembered next week. It's just ridiculous how much these kids refuse to accept any form of nuance. You know, I remember when Drunken Japan came on the channel last time, and he said that he was on Reddit, and he said there was like a whole Reddit thread of these kids on Reddit were talking about how like in a physical fight, Joe Biden would destroy Vladimir Putin. And Drunken Japan was like, what the fuck are these kids talking about? Like, are you serious? You can acknowledge that like Vladimir Putin is a bad dude. Like you don't have to like him, but you can still be realistic and acknowledge that in a physical fight, yeah, he would have his way with Joe Biden. My 15-year-old sister could beat up Joe Biden. Like you can like Joe Biden as a president and a politician and acknowledge that he's like an old man that would get stomped on by Putin. It's just a very bizarre time. Like just no nuance at all whatsoever. Nobody can acknowledge that like, yeah, Hulk Hogan said some pretty bad shit, but he was also like the reason that pro wrestling became what it is today. Like just nobody can accept any form of nuance. It's just he said the N-word. He's a loser. Nobody likes him. He'll be forgotten next week. Nobody even cared about him. Pro wrestling would have been just fine without him. It's like low IQ. It's low information is kind of what I think of it. You know, when people talk about voters and they talk about low information voters, like people who like don't take in a lot of info before they make up their decision about something. I think a lot of people are like low info, like everything nowadays. You know, there was even that girl when I posted that thing on the Disco Acid Instagram, that girl that I used to be friends with, and she came to my TikTok out of nowhere. We haven't talked in years, have not talked in fucking years. And the last time we did, it didn't go so well. She doesn't like me anymore, but she commented on one of my posts. I was making a joke about how some of my ex-girlfriends are fat now. You know, it was one of my kind of crass, vulgar posts. You know, it was me popping off, trying to be funny. And yeah, she commented on it and she said, oh, nice to know you're still a piece of shit. And I was like, bro, you're like a low information person. Like we haven't talked in years. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I'm doing. You don't know where I'm living. You don't know who my friends are. You don't know what I'm like. You literally know zero about me. But you saw a 5-second clip of me saying that my ex-girlfriends are fat. And just that little bit of information is enough for you to make up your entire mind. Like you now know that I'm a piece of shit. I will not deny that I'm a piece of shit, but I have more information that like backs that up and confirms that. Yeah, too many people nowadays, they're just low information, like people in general. They have enough time for one article headline, and that's all they need. Like I said, Hulk Hogan says N-word on phone call. Cool, that's all I need. Bad person. No one ever liked him. No one ever cared about him. wrestling would be just fine without him. No one knows who he is. Like, bro, that's low information shit. Like, you have no room for nuance in your brain. You have no room for any more information. You just learn one little thing, and you think you know everything. You think that Hulk Hogan is in hell and Ozzy Osbourne is in heaven, right? Like Ozzy Osbourne is forgiven for everything he used to do, even though you don't know. Like I said, I guarantee you, these people know nothing about Ozzy Osbourne. And by the way, with a character like Ozzy Osbourne, and for Hulk Hogan, I guess I will say, both of these people, we actually, we'll never know their full list of sins. I mean, Ozzy was kicking in the 70s and 80s, a time when it was like notorious for rock stars banging out underage chicks. Not saying Ozzy did that, but I'm just saying, let's be realistic. There's a good chance Ozzy was, doing what all the rock stars did back then. Hulk Hogan too, for all we know. It's just way too many low information people making decisions on things like this. And then it gets bad because they go out and they comment on things. That's the problem. There's comment sections, and these people take in tiny little bits of information and they make up their minds entirely on entire subjects. And, then they go out and they comment on things, and they look embarrassing. They look stupid. They look fucking retarded. You get people talking about how Sydney Sweeney is doing Nazi propaganda. Like, Jesus Christ. I'm never going to let this one go. This is going to be my favorite, like, fake Twitter outrage for the rest of my life. I just, man, if I could only get a time machine and go back and tell myself in 2009, hey, that clothing brand that all the girls you have a crush on are wearing, they're going to do Nazi propaganda in the future. Jesus fucking Christ. What a fucking retarded timeline we live in. Absolutely insane. All right, the last one I really had was this Nintendo thing. I thought this was kind of funny. Nintendo says Mario and Princess Peach are just good friends who help each other out whenever they can. So Mario has been friend-zoned by Nintendo themselves. I love one of the tweets down here says, they help each other? When the hell does Peach ever help Mario? I thought that was pretty good. What the fuck has Peach ever done for Mario? I'm sure there are some things here and there in some games that I haven't played, but let's be real. It's Mario who's the one. He's the one. Dude, I thought this was funny because this is kind of at least from what I've noticed, I think it's kind of odd. It really seems like American, like, pop culture and Hollywood, that like it's like not cool to like put characters in romantic relationships anymore, if that makes sense. The Barbie movie is a good example, right? Like, throughout all of time that Barbie has been in existence, like, Barbie and Ken were obviously an item. They were obviously a couple. But then we got the Barbie movie, recently, and Ken was basically like a fucking retarded simp that Barbie just kind of denied and led on. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. Like, it's not cool to like everything needs to be platonic now, right? Like, no more romanticizing relationships. Think about like the 80s. In the 80s, like, there was always like a romantic subplot going on. Like, two characters in 80s movies always ended up getting together. Even in like The Breakfast Club, Molly Ringwald's character ends up getting with the John Bender character, even kind of out of nowhere, but like kind of just to give you something to like latch on to. That's awesome. Sure, saying that Peach is always cucking Mario by running off with Bowser all the time. Yeah, it could be Bowser that she's actually after. Peach also gives Mario a kiss multiple times in the series. Yeah, no, I was surprised to see Nintendo say this. Like I said, I don't really know what the deal is. Why is it not cool in like pop culture to do romantic relationships anymore? Like, everything has to be platonic now. I did not see the new Snow White movie, but I remember hearing from some people that the romance angle. First of all, I guess the prince wasn't even a prince. They made the prince like a fucking homeless guy. And then you Snow White, like, he was just a fucking bum. Which, of course, Hollywood can't just have a prince anymore. It has to be a fucking bum. But yeah, I guess they turned down the romantic angle like very heavily. And it's like, dude, that's like kind of the main point of the original Snow White, like her and the prince. Like the prince kisses her awake, and yeah, nowadays it's just like it's not cool to be anything more than platonic, and I don't really know why. I think that's kind of bizarre. It could be trolling if people are talking about Mario. Yeah, I guess that could be true. Maybe like in the new Mario game, before they drop a new game, like the new game is gonna go like full, like they like get married or some shit, and they want to throw you off the trail. No, but yeah, I don't know. That's something that I've noticed, is that like it's not cool anymore to have like characters get together anymore. Like it's like our pop culture is trying to like tell us, like don't get romantically involved with anybody. Like they don't want people getting together and getting married and like pursuing romance. I don't know. I think it's weird. Like I said, every movie you watch in the 80s, there's always like two characters that will end up together. Like Back to the Future is about, the kid's parents. Like he is trying to get them together. If that movie was made today, it would be like if Back to the Future was made today, he would be trying to stop his parents from getting together. Like it would be the opposite. He would be like, no, you guys are better off as friends. Trust me. Just be platonic. He'd like tell his mom, just go out and focus on your career. Some kind of cliche like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's wrong with like getting down. I don't know what's wrong with getting down anymore. I don't know why people can't just, yeah, dude, Mario and Peach are obviously fucking shagging. Dude, like I was saying, the whole point of Mario and Peach is that Mario is a lowly plumber. It's supposed to be an inspirational story. It's supposed to be that you might just be a lowly, basic-ass plumber, but if you're courageous and brave and you have confidence, you can get the princess. You, too, can have Princess Peach if you're just brave and confident, and you traverse into Bowser's castle and conquer your enemies. You too can have Princess Peach, even if you're just a dirty bum-ass plumber with a mustache. You can find your own princess. I don't, why do you got to take that away? Why do you got to take away the inspiring part of the Super Mario story? They definitely don't want people having kids. I would say that's not even like up for debate anymore. They definitely don't want people having kids. Maybe that's part of what it is. Replace those with robots. Yeah, we could be getting into some Blade Runner ass shit. We could be on our way to fucking Blade Runner. On our way to fucking... It better be the original Blade Runner we're going for, though. I like 2049. Like I said, I that's a really good movie. Really good, especially for a modern day movie. For a movie from 2017, Blade Runner 2049 was awesome. But of course, the original Blade Runner, I would say, easily reigns supreme. So if we are headed for a Blade Runner world, it better look like the first Blade Runner. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, that makes sense. They encourage everybody to just stay platonic because they don't want people having kids. If all these boys and girls are looking up to Super Mario and Princess Peach and getting together and saving each other and being romantic and shagging, they're gonna start having kids. They don't want that happening. They do not want people having kids. Dude, there's even a clip I saw recently from Captain Planet. I don't know if anybody remembers that show. I used to watch Captain Planet. Even a clip from Captain Planet, which was on like back in the 90s, about like they were telling people not to have kids. I don't think I can find it on command right now, but I might be able to. Let me see. Yes. Captain Planet, even back in the 90s, let me see, was telling us not to have kids.
Did you know the population of the world is now more than 5 billion?
Wow, that is
5 billion? Aren't we up to like over 8 billion now?
a lot of people. And it's increasing by
Yeah, this is before I was even born. Dude, this is 1991. Jesus.
90 million
but the Earth is not getting any bigger.
So when it is your turn to have a family,
Keep it small.
When it's your turn to have a family, keep it small.
The more people there are, the more pressure we put on our planet. So take it easy on our Earth and conserve what you can.
Straight up, in a kids show in 1991, they're telling us to keep your family small. I think, look, when it comes to like environmentalism and all that, I'm definitely not as hardcore as Charlie Manson. I'll be honest about that. I think there's got to be like a decent middle ground we can meet in when it comes to environmentalism and like, you know, taking care of the planet. Like, yes, I do agree it is our home. And I think just generally you should take care of your home in the same way that you should keep your room clean. Yes, we should do what we can to take care of Earth. It is where we live. To me, that's just like basic decency. However, I don't think like I don't think we should be doing anything that makes people like uncomfortable, basically. Like, you know, you see politicians that would if some politicians had their way, they would ban gas vehicles tomorrow. That's where I think it gets ridiculous. Like, we've had gas vehicles for so long, you know, if we find like a realistic path to like all vehicles run on something that's more efficient for the environment or whatever, then sure, I think we should start planning a way to go that way. But let's not do some crazy shit like tomorrow, you know. And I'm not gonna lie, I also don't think we should be telling people how many kids they can have. That part I'll never get on board with, you know. I'm totally down for like cleaning up the planet, stopping pollution wherever we can. You know, if we could get cars and machines running on something better than gas, absolutely. But I'll start drawing the line when it comes to like telling people how many kids they should be having. You know, leave people alone. Like, if people want to have fucking 10 kids, if you can afford 10 kids and if you are a good parent, absolutely have 10 kids. I don't give a fuck. That's your own thing. Don't bring them into Target crying and screaming when I'm in there. I'll say that too. I don't want to hear your kid crying in the fucking grocery store. So make sure that doesn't happen. But if you want to have fucking 10 or 12 kids, I don't give a fuck. That's your deal. That's fine. If you want to have a big family, that's great. Yeah, 100%. If there's a realistic path that we can take, absolutely. Every time I will say, let's do that. I also do think, though, I always think it's funny that when it comes to like American politicians, they never talk about other countries. You know, I think China is like the most, I think like China commits like the most pollution out of all the countries on the planet. It's something like China or some other country over there. And politicians never talk about that. Like, politicians are always telling Americans what we need to do and turn your air conditioners down and stop driving gas vehicles. And it's like, I know we don't own and control China, obviously, but, you know, it's like, well, shouldn't we be talking about other Pina Moche? Dude, I haven't seen the Pina Moche name in like it has to have been like a fucking year. Nothing much is going on. Sydney Sweeney is a Nazi propagandist. Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne, both of them are either in hell or in heaven. They both are a package deal. And Captain Planet says don't have too many kids. Super Mario is apparently getting cucked out and he is friend zoned. That's what's going on. That's about all that's been going on so far. It is China right now, but it'll be Mexico soon. Dude, Mexico is like the weirdest country in the world to me. Because whenever people talk about Mexico, it's either one or the other. It's people are going on vacation to like fucking some fancy place in Mexico, or people are getting like kidnapped and beheaded. Like, there's no middle ground. There's no middle ground in Mexico, from what I know. I guess the grand move from the powers that be is that mass manufacturing is going to move from China to Mexico, since China has developed so much recently. I wish I was like smart enough to even know like what that would entail. Like, I guess in my mind, that sounds like it would be good because Mexico is way closer. Like, shouldn't we want manufacturing closer to us? But at the same time, like I said, I have no idea. For all I know, that could be detrimental. I would just think geographically that'd be a good thing. Can't believe Hogan passed. Oh yeah, basically like a quarter of the 1980s died in like 1 week. Even the dude from the Cosbys, who for sure got overshadowed with the Ozzy and Hulk Hogan thing. But yeah, like a quarter of the 1980s just like died in 1 week, which is crazy. Pino Moche. What I was actually saying was just that there, you know, all the kids on the internet that know nothing about Ozzy Osbourne, and all they really know about Hulk Hogan is that he like said racist stuff on the phone and endorsed Donald Trump. All I was saying was I was doing like a comparison of their sins. I was calling it like a moral exercise. Right, so all the kids on the internet are making jokes about how Ozzy Osbourne is up in heaven and Hulk Hogan is down in hell. But Ozzy Osbourne, there's stories about Ozzy Osbourne trying to strangle and murder his wife in a drug-induced blackout. There's stories about him shooting and murdering like upwards of 17 cats. Like he like murdered all of his family's cats in the middle of a drug-induced blackout. And then I compared those two sins to Hulk Hogan, right? Saying the N-word on a phone call and endorsing Donald Trump. And I was saying, you know, it's probably a fun moral exercise to get into the nuance and say which two sins are worse when it comes to the two characters. You know, people are debating which one of them went to heaven and which one went to hell. And so I would say no, they're a package deal, right? Like they've both. If you're going to tell me that Hulk Hogan went to hell for saying the N-word, then you can't tell me that Ozzy Osbourne's not in hell for attempting to murder his wife, like strangling her to the point that she had to call the cops, and shot and killed 17 cats. Bring more to the Mexican economy and help them develop it. I don't know. I'm stupid. Yeah, I think we should just take over Mexico. I don't know why we don't just take over Mexico. That's my like retarded guy take. Like, let's just take over Mexico. I would also say Canada too, but you know, we're too pussy to do that. If I became like the king of the country tomorrow, I would say we're going north and south. We're taking Canada, we're taking Mexico, we're just taking it all. Just because we can. Why not? We're just taking it all. There's no reason not to. There's that one president that talks about like what's the word? I think it was like Andrew Jackson, the guy that killed all the Native Americans. What is it? Yeah, manifest destiny. That's what I would do. We'd be doing throwback to manifest destiny type shit. Like we're just taking over we're going from the top of Canada down to the bottom of South America just because we can. That would be how I decide all of my decisions. If I was king of the country tomorrow and I had to make all these political decisions and all these foreign relations decisions, everything I do would be just because we can. We're taking over this country. Why? Just because we can. Why not? Let's just take it over. I want to build a new shopping mall. I want a shopping mall the size of Mexico. So we have to take over Mexico to make that happen. Who's in the street business? Oh yeah, Hulk Hogan. I was saying earlier, realistically, Hulk Hogan really was like possibly the most famous person in the world at one point in the 80s. For sure, America. You know, Hulk Hogan was on fucking MTV hanging out with Cyndi Lauper and Mr. T. Like, he was easily, if not the most famous person, one of the most famous people in the world in the mid-1980s. There are people in comment sections literally trying to say that Hulk Hogan will be forgotten after next week. And I'm like, you know, I get that you don't like him. That's fine. I understand you don't like the decisions that Terry Bollea made, and you don't like the things that he said, you know, on phone calls with friends, and you don't like his politics, you know, who he endorsed politically. That's all fine and good, but you have to accept nuance. I mean, that's the key word of the day. You have to accept nuance if you want to be a fucking grown adult with a brain. And you have to understand that, like, he was one of the most famous people in the world at one point. And without him, there'd be no WWE today. Without him, there'd be no pro wrestling as we know it today. Like, it would be a lot different. It might still be what it was in the 80s today if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan. But people don't want to accept nuance. They just see a headline article that reads, Hulk Hogan says N-word on phone call, and it just all becomes, nope, he's worthless. Nobody knows who he is. No one even likes him. I'm speaking for the rest of the world when I say this. That's my least favorite thing, too, is all these people that think they can speak for the entire world when they're like, you know, oh, nobody's going to remember Hulk Hogan next week. Well, okay, don't talk about nobody because you're speaking for yourself here. So, but yeah, no, nuance. Keyword of the day. A lot of nuance. Terry Bollea, definitely not the greatest person on the planet. But Hulk Hogan, you know, undeniable. Undeniable, and the things that guy accomplished in pro wrestling and just in like American culture. Oh yeah, for sure up there with Michael Jackson. For sure. Hulk Hogan was like the face of like 80s American exceptionalism too. Like back when it was cool to be like pro America and like run around with American flags. And you know, Hulk Hogan was always beating like the Iron Sheik, Andre the Giant. He was always beating like the evil foreigners. You know, Hulk Hogan was like the face of that whole thing. But yeah, no, kids don't want to accept that nowadays. Like the trendy kids, they just don't want to. You know, it's like you're not allowed to say those things. Otherwise, you're also racist. And I mean, I've seen comments that are like that simple in like some of the Facebook groups that I'm in. Like some people will say like, no, you have to accept that Hulk Hogan was a star, and they're just like, well, no, he is just, you know, racist and blah blah blah. And Hulk Hogan wrestled 400 days a year. Protomax, I don't know if you listened. Jim Cornette put out his episode on Hulk Hogan a couple days ago. And Jim Cornette always points out, and I think it's super interesting. He was saying, you know, Hulk Hogan, his lying, his constant lying, is a product of Hulk Hogan learned how to get himself over before iPhones were a thing. So Hulk Hogan came from the time period when if you saw an interview with somebody on TV, you couldn't just fact check him by pulling out your phone in your pocket. So like if I'm a kid watching TV in 1990 and Hulk Hogan says, yeah, I tried out for Metallica on bass, I just believed him because that's all I had. I didn't have an iPhone that I could just pull up and Google. And Jim Cornette was saying he just kind of never outgrew that. So he just kind of continued lying and saying shit. Ric Flair's really the Keith Richards of pro wrestling. Dude, Ric Flair has to be like within the next 5 years. I mean, 10 for sure, but like within the next 5 years, Ric Flair, his time has to be coming. Ric Flair's. I honestly also kind of think, what if Ric Flair, you know, he was real bummed out about the Hulk thing. Like he was crying on TMZ about Hulk Hogan. What if Ric Flair crashes out over Hulk Hogan's death? You know, Hulk Hogan could be drinking a little too heavily right now because he's like so upset about Hulk Hogan. And that could be coming up soon. Yeah, Jim Cornette, one day ago, so it was just yesterday, Jim Cornette did his episode on the passing of Hulk Hogan. He's already 502,000 subscribers. Jim Cornette is the man. I haven't listened to Jim Cornette a lot recently, honestly. But, of course, when he put up the Hulk Hogan episode, yeah, I had to go back and listen. 5% chance to live. Woke up to Hogan, checking on him and told Hogan to get him a six-pack. You know, there's a lot of nuance with Hulk Hogan for sure. You know, there's that story that Booker T tells about Hulk Hogan backstage too. I have to see if I can find it because I actually can't say the words. So hopefully I can, let me see. I don't even actually know if this is the one I'm looking for, but whatever. We're just gonna pull this one up. Let it run.
And people labeled Hulk Hogan a racist when that happened. You know, not when that happened, but when he made his comments and whatnot, people label him a racist. And I say, you normally know a racist by the people that they hang with, their friends. You normally know a racist by, their kids. And I said at that moment when I said that about Hulk Hogan, I said, man, that was a moment right there for Hulk Hogan. If he was a racist, I said a racist would have said, man, I'm finna get this sucker fired. I'm gonna do my best to get him out of here. A racist would have said, man, I'm gonna have him working for me now. That's what a racist would have did. But I asked Hulk Hogan, why didn't he get me fired? Why didn't he go to the office and lobby to get me out of there? And he goes, it was like he was in shock. He was like, brother, I heard that word, many times, and so it wasn't anything. He said, and most of all, I wouldn't go and try to get another one of the wrestlers fired. As well as the following day in catering, it's crazy. Macho Man Savage, Hulk Hogan, my brother and myself, we're in catering, and Macho Man Savage sees Hulk Hogan. He says, Hulk, what do you think about Booker T calling you the N-word? And Hulk Hogan goes, well, if I'm an N-word, I'm a good N-word. And that was it. And Hulk Hogan and I, from that moment in the 90s, we never spoke about that until just last week on my radio show. That's how irrelevant it really was.
Yeah, there's like a million different stories from black wrestlers too about Hulk Hogan. Like I know the New Day, right? The guys in the New Day were not cool with Hulk Hogan. Booker T loves Hulk Hogan, it sounds like. Booker T probably, definitely I would say is easily one of the best black pro wrestlers. I mean, he was like I don't want to say like the black pro wrestler when I was a kid, but when I was a kid, he was Booker T, and then he did the King Booker thing, and I fucking hated him, which, as an adult, you learn just means he was a good bad guy. He was good at his job. When I was a kid, I hated Booker T, I hated JBL, I hated Edge. Now I look back, I'm like, oh, they were actually awesome. Yeah, Booker T did his feud with Batista when he was King Booker. Booker T is the man. I know Booker T whooped Batista's ass in real life backstage. I think it like a SummerSlam photo shoot. There's a great behind the scenes story of them getting in a fight. When I was a kid, Batista was my favorite wrestler, so I was always like, oh, I just know Batista whooped his ass. Now that I'm an adult, I'm like, no, I know for sure Booker T whooped his ass. And if you look into the stories, you'll see a lot of the wrestlers were like, dude, Booker T whooped his ass. But the King Booker gimmick was fucking hilarious. I cried when it beat Rey Mysterio. Yeah, the King Booker thing was hilarious. But yeah, there's a lot of and as much as I love CM Punk is a total fucking wuss about Hulk Hogan. But CM Punk's he's like a total like lefty moralist. Like protect trans children type of dude, which whatever. I let that shit go with CM Punk. I don't care. Like I don't like straight edge people either, but I give CM Punk a pass. In the same way that Booker T apparently gives Hulk Hogan the N-word pass, I give CM Punk a straight edge pass. And like a left-wing virtue signaler pass, whatever you want to call it. I guess they did another tribute for Hulk Hogan on Raw tonight. Eric Bischoff was there, and yeah, they had all the wrestlers out on the stage, and I guess everybody said CM Punk was just stone faced the whole time. Like they made him stand up in front, but he was just stone faced. And yeah, Booker T has like been to jail and shit too. Booker T used to like rob. I think he used to rob like Burger Kings. I don't know. There's a story that he tells about. I think he worked at Burger King. And then he robbed the Burger King and he worked at it. It was something like that. No, okay, no, it was Wendy's. He robbed a Wendy's. And I think he worked at it too. I don't remember. But I know Booker T for sure had a background like that. I don't think they like each other in real life. I wish they would. The CM Punk Jeff Hardy rivalry in 2009 was like devastating to me because they were like both my favorite wrestlers at the time. So I legitimately could not decide like who I wanted to win. I remember being like actually torn about that. I was like a freshman in high school. And I was actually torn watching CM Punk and Jeff Hardy. And then CM Punk retired Jeff Hardy, and yeah, I was devastated. I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" But yeah, I don't think they like each other in real life. And the Hardys have been on TNA. I think they're with TNA right now. So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're gonna do. I know AJ Styles. Well, I know WWE is working with TNA too, so they've been doing some crossover stuff. Like AJ Styles just went to TNA the other night, which is pretty cool. But the Hardys, I think they're even like TNA Tag Champions right now. Yeah, the Hardys are tag team champions in TNA right now. I don't even think Hardy and Punk would actually do a good match today, honestly. Jeff Hardy seems pretty much not like done, but you know, Jeff Hardy's not the same today, if we're being honest. Like, Jeff Hardy's always one of my favorites, but and I'm not blaming him. It's the same thing as like Axl Rose with Guns N' Roses, you know. Like, of course he's not the same. He's been doing damage to his voice for fucking decades. Jeff Hardy's been flying off of shit for decades. I don't expect him to be the same. Yeah, no, he's definitely on his way out. Dude, I'm supposed to do oh yeah, Jeff Hardy was outselling John Cena with merch in 2009, I'm pretty sure it was. I think there's that interview where Jeff Hardy says if he would have never relapsed or if he would have never gotten fired or whatever, he would have been the face of the company. Yeah, he definitely would have. He was I remember that he was outselling John Cena in merch at that time. Like, he was actually on track to become the most famous guy in the company. Yeah, I was gonna say, I love that clip. I wish I could find that clip on Instagram where the guy's saying that Jeff Hardy, he says Jeff Hardy did more for black people than Barack Obama ever did. I was like, oh, that's the best clip ever. I think I have it saved on my personal Instagram, but I don't have my Instagram saved on my computer. Yeah, Jeff's career would be like infinitely different if he never would have got hooked on the somas and the painkillers and shit. Like, infinitely different. There's a crazy documentary. It sucks, the WWE Network. It sucks that they changed all that shit. Back when it was just the WWE Network and there was no Hulu or whatever the fuck they're on now. They used to do these really good documentaries, and they had this really good documentary about both of the Hardys and like both of their separate addictions. There was this crazy behind the scenes footage of like they had behind the scenes footage of like they were filming a Jeff Hardy documentary before this documentary that I was watching. And they had Matt Hardy, and he was doing a little segment where he was sitting on a stool and he was talking about Jeff, and he was nodding off on camera. And the guy behind the camera was like, Matt, wake up, Matt. And like they had like actual footage of Matt like nodding off all over the place backstage. And same with Jeff. I can't remember what that documentary was called, but there was 2 documentaries on the WWE Network. They were like some of the best documentaries I'd ever seen. One of them was just the history of WrestleMania. I think that might have even been what it was called. I've never been able to find it, except for when I had the network, and I could never find it again. It was like a really good WWE: The True Story of WrestleMania from 2011. I've been trying to find it like anywhere. Maybe you could buy it on DVD. It's on Peacock, of course, because it's all on fucking Peacock. Oh, it looks like it's on Amazon actually. You could buy it on DVD for $8. I am actually so broke nowadays that I will not even spend $8 to buy this DVD. There is only one left in stock, and it is used, and the condition is good, so I wouldn't trust it anyways. But it doesn't look like you can stream it anywhere except for Peacock. Yeah, I really hate what they did to the network. I really hate them putting it on Peacock or Hulu or whatever the fuck it was on, and I don't know why they changed it. Like, they had their own whole app, like, it was perfect. And that was, like, the best that was the first streaming service I ever really, like, subscribed to. I didn't really do streaming services. Even today, I have Shudder. I have Amazon Prime. That's really it. I had Night Flight for a year. That was a really good one. There's one called Midnight Pulp that I had, like, the free version of for a short time. That was a really good one. But, I'm tired of all the fucking tired of money getting pulled out of my bank account from 74 different companies every month. I pay money for this fucking stream just to use the service that I use. Just because I'm too retarded to figure out OBS. I need to, like, sit down and spend some time trying to figure out OBS so I can quit paying money every month for the streaming service that I use. What I pay for Dropbox, I know that's one that I for sure pay for. Shudder, I pay yearly. I'm kind of going off on a tangent right now about streaming services, but I got to get off here in a little bit anyways. I'll probably try to get off here right before 8 until like 7:42 right now. I got to make some clips. I'm probably going to chop this up. I for sure want to post like separate videos. Like I want to do because I did like a full 40 minutes ripping about the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle thing. Oh, no way. I don't have T-Mobile. I have AT&T. I know AT&T comes with something though that I don't think I could get just because I've been on AT&T like ever since I've had a phone. But I know AT&T comes with something because when I worked for them, they were always trying to get me to push. HBO Max, yeah. AT&T offers free streaming through HBO Max or Max. I don't know which. They keep changing it. But it's not available to all customers. Some AT&T wireless and internet plans, particularly older ones, include a free Max subscription. Wonder if we could get that. Protomax, you should check that out. See if we could get HBO Max for free with what we have. Check your current plan details on the AT&T website or app. Yeah, qualifying plan. You'll need to activate Max in your My AT&T account or through the Max app. You may need to sign in with your AT&T user ID and password. Note that changing to a new plan or moving your service might mean losing the Max benefit. I wonder what HBO Max even has. Yeah, I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, AT&T. Some people get HBO Max for free. What does HBO Max even have? Of course, they have The Last of Us. That sounds gay as fuck. Casey Anthony documentary. That sounds pretty cool. And it looks like they got a lot of true crime stuff. That's always swell. I don't know. I don't know. I just heard there's a show I listen to every day. They were talking about some shit that was on HBO Max that I can't remember what they were saying though. King of the Hill. Yeah, I talked about the King of the Hill thing a couple weeks ago. Definitely worth just waiting a few days and watching the season on another platform. I'm cautiously optimistic about the new King of the Hill thing. You know, obviously it could go really bad in 2025. It could be absolute shit, but it could be decent. It could be decent. It's funny, there are the people on Twitter, you know, as much as I make fun of like lefties and like social justice nerds, on the other side, there's also the nerds that are way too quick to cry woke about everything. You know, like the people that like they see one black character in a movie and they immediately will cry woke, and it's like, dude, you know, like there are such things as like black people in movies. You know, that doesn't mean it's woke. But you know, of course, there are people on Twitter that are already crying that the new King of the Hill is going to be woke because of this and that. And I was saying, you know, the original King of the Hill was decently like, you know, like some of the plots were like Hank Hill would be kind of stuck in his own Texas ways, but he would come around to like a more progressive mindset, I guess you could say. So I'm not saying the original King of the Hill was woke or anything. I hate having to even use that fucking term, but like it's kind of like the term that has been decided for us. But you know, I don't know. It could go one way or the other. One of the writers of King of the Hill, there's like a dude that wrote for King of the Hill for like 1 or 2 seasons. I think his name's Michael Jim, and he has a YouTube channel where he talks about screenwriting, and I used to watch him a lot. Yeah, Michael Jim, and he wrote you're at King of the Hill from 2001 to 2006. And yeah, he's cool. I like him. He's like this curly-headed dude. King of the Hill is a great example of realistic progress socially. Yeah, I would say so. Like original King of the Hill was a good example of a. My favorite Hank Hill moment was there's an episode where Bobby's like waiting outside for his friend to come pick him up, and Hank's like, you know, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm waiting for my friend. And it's a girl, and this girl rolls up and picks Bobby up on her bike, and Bobby sits behind her on the bike, and Hank is like shocked because his son got on the back of the bike seat and a girl was riding it. God, I gotta see if I can find that clip. No, it's not gonna be something way. But it's like my favorite. It's like my favorite Hank Hill moment for sure. My ex-girlfriend used to do a great Hank Hill impression. Of course, it was funny because she was a girl and it sounded like a fucking girl doing a Hank Hill impression. But she used to do a very great Hank Hill impression and a great Hulk Hogan impression, coincidentally. She used to do a really good brother. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be able to find this shit. I gotta find this clip somewhere. Bobby gets on a fucking back seat of a bike, or the back of a bike with a girl riding, and yeah, Hank is just fucking blown away by this. Yeah, King of the Hill, that show's actually really fucking good. It's one of those shows you could really watch anytime. They don't ever get old. There's this girl that I talked to on Instagram, and she was one of the people that was trying to tell me that the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle commercial was in fact racist. Of course, she had no reasoning. Don't get me wrong. There was no like, this is why or this is how. She was just telling me it is racist. What did she do? She replied to one of my stories and she said, it is racist. And I said, I think it's a total reach. Like, it's doom and gloom mentality. It's just a pun. The jeans thing. She started talking about completely other, like, random stuff. She said, like, it's reactive abuse. If I want to be dramatic because of everything going on, I think the white people in the media are being overly petty. I was like, I thought we were talking about the American Eagle commercial. She said, I see more and more racism and rage bait. Why leave enough room for people to even have to think so hard about? I don't know. I'm just saying there are people that I talk to, like, personally, that believe that the American Eagle commercial was like a full-on racist propaganda commercial. And I'm just never going to get over the fact that this is the timeline that I live in. There's also this girl that I'm friends with on Facebook, and I've never met her in real life. She lives, like, fairly locally to me. I've probably seen her have, like, 4 boyfriends in the last year. I'm not even kidding. She just got with this new guy, I swear to God, a month ago, and she just posted, I've never been so in love with a person like this before. I'm so happy, and I couldn't ask for better. I've seen her post this exact same thing about a boy before, and within 2 weeks, she was posting, "Why do guys always take advantage of me and use me, and when I need somebody, and then they leave me, and why do guys do this to me?" So I'm waiting for that, actually. I'll mark the stream, actually. This is the first time I brought this up. It's this girl named Kayla. This girl named Kayla. Yeah, she gets new boyfriends, like, every fucking couple months. And she declares her full and undying love for them on Facebook. Within 2 weeks, she will legitimately be posting. I'm not even kidding. She will be posting things like, "I'm just gonna take all these pills, and I'm not even fucking kidding. I've gone on Facebook at, like, midnight, and she's like, "I'm gonna take all the pills left in my medicine cabinet. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore." And then there's a bunch of comments like, no, Kayla, please, no, Kayla, call me right now. And then the next day I wake up and she's deleted the post, and she's just, like, reposting memes like she usually does. So I'm expecting in a couple weeks she will be threatening to take all of her pills again. And then a couple weeks after that, she'll have a new boyfriend. Right on, Protomax. I'll see you next stream. I'm gonna get off here in a minute too. Yeah, she sounds insane. Right on. Yeah, Pina Moche, if you're still around, I'm gonna get off here in a minute too. I'm gonna get out of here. I think I've been on here for almost 2 hours, a good hour and 53 minutes, it looks like. I have an interview tomorrow. I have an interview tomorrow at, like, 11. It is actually a pretty funny interview. I won't get into it yet. I'll see how it goes first before I actually say what it is or what it's for. But would be super cool. Would also be hilarious, like, on its face. Like, if I first mention what it is, people will think it's very comical. But then once I explain why, it'll make a little bit more sense. But yeah, it's fucking hot. It's hot in my room. I have no air conditioner. I have a fan. The fan just blows hot air onto me, so I sit here and I sweat. I might be back on Wednesday. I might not. I don't know. I haven't locked in a day of the week that I like to do or not yet. I got lucky today because there was stories to talk about. There was the Sydney Sweeney thing. There was the Ozzy and Hulk thing. I'm usually lacking in stories, though. But I'm slowly but surely working on a 16 Candles video. I've been wanting to do a little review video on 16 Candles. The kind of twist, or, like, the whole point of it, is that I'm not going to spend the whole time talking about how it's problematic nowadays and how it hasn't aged well. I'm not going to do any of that nonsense. I'm just going to talk about it like it's a great movie, because that's all it really is. It's a great movie, and there is nothing problematic about it. But other than that, that's about it. That's all I got. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna hit the outro. And yeah, I'll be back on here some other fucking time.
And we're all here today to groove and have a beautiful time together, and that it's only the beginning.
Sometimes I think I'm drunk and then I realize I am drunk. Sometimes I think I'm drunk.